You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Matt McGackie, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians. We talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. If you've ever wanted to sneak backstage and share a beer with one of your favorite musicians, well, Vox and Hops is the podcast for you. This week on the podcast, I dropped a killer episode with Kelly Schaefer of Atheist. There is this episode and over 440 other ones to help you enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. So what are you waiting for? It's time to become a Vox and Hops head. Cheers.
What is up, you beautiful, beautiful, beautiful human being? I'm assuming you're a human being, because if you're a dog who clicked on this, hit me up. I want to know how you knew how to do that. Anyway, I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me today. Today, I'm talking to Scott from ZAO, which is a band that I love. So this is a very exciting conversation. If you're not familiar with the band, prepare your face. They know how to rip it off. Seriously, big fan of this band. They are very intense and very, very good. And Scott is a great guy. We had a blast on this episode, and we had a blast on the Patreon section, and he's the man. It was so cool to get to know him. Really, honestly, such a good dude. I want to get right into it, but before I do that, I want to mention one thing that I am doing. I'm giving somebody a Christmas present, an actual physical Christmas present. I am giving away, thanks to Sweetwater and thanks to Electron, I am giving away a Electron Model Cycles, and I am jazzed about it. The thing is, though, I announced it over the weekend, and the end date is today as this episode drops. So if you are listening to this podcast on Monday, the 20th, you are still able to get in as long as you enter before 3 p.m. Pacific time. That's right, 3 p.m. Pacific time. All you have to do is follow American Cyclops on whatever streaming platform you choose, Apple, Amazon, it doesn't matter. And some of them are follow, some of them are add to library, whatever the equivalent of a follow is. All you got to do is take a screenshot proving that you did and then shoot it to pedalgiveaway@gmail.com. That's pedalgiveaway@gmail.com. I know it's not a pedal, it's a synth, but I was trying to do this really quickly and I wanted to get this thing out to somebody, hopefully before Christmas, which is why it's kind of like a boom, let's go. So it's a very fast contest, but it's really easy to enter. All you have to do is get that in before 3 p.m. on December 20th, 2021, and I am picking somebody to win out of all of those entries. One entry per person. It's open U.S. and international. If you are international and you win, I'm asking that you cover the shipping and all of the import fees, any of the taxes, any associated fees that your government puts on you to get the thing in the country. I'm asking you to cover that because I simply have no control over any of that stuff. So it's open everywhere. That's how you do it. There's a post on Instagram detailing it, and I will link that in the show notes. And I am talking too much. Let's get into this one with Scott. Let's do it. Here we go. Boom. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, the show about guitar stuff, occasionally, sometimes. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me today, I have Scott Mellinger from ZAO. What's happening, dude?
Oh, not much, man. Just sitting here, actually enjoying a one warm day in December in Pittsburgh.
Oh, wow. See, it's cold here. Well, cold for here now.
Well, dude, we literally were like 30. I think 30 was the high yesterday. It's like 55, and now it's like summer for us.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
55 to 60 is my ideal temperature, actually. That's great.
I'm like a 95 guy, so.
I'm dying. I'm dying when it gets that hot.
I love it. It's super hot.
Can't do it. I'm a wuss. But, dude, I'm super stoked to have you here. I was really excited when you emailed me on the Stringjoy email. I was like, oh, this is great. I love this band.
That's me. Like, it's crazy how that works out. Like, I can't even, all the different, like, endorsement issue or what would you like the endorsement things that I've dealt with as a guitar player, every time it still blows my mind that, like, the dudes, well, when I actually got my ESP deal, I talked to Matt Mascandero. So like this is when he was still doing it, which was like 2001. And he didn't know who ZAO was at all, but he was super, super cool. But then like everybody that I went through like as an A&R there, they knew who we were. And like it's super crazy to me that anybody at ESP or like when I did my Mesa deal, which is weird now because the Gibson buyout, but like John Marshall was the guy that was Mesa's A&R.
Okay.
So
wow.
I talked to John Marshall and I was like trying not to geek out about the Metallica thing. or the Metal Church thing. But yeah, it's crazy to me that people, when you call and you're just personable and like we never had, like even when we had management, I did it all because it was just like I want to talk to the people that we work with. So
yeah, the whole management thing is interesting. Sometimes I used to be really down on it. I'm like, it's 2020 or whatever year it was when I was talking to Corey Wong about it actually on this podcast.
Okay.
I was like, management and labels. I'm like, why do you need all that stuff this day and age? And he did bring me more back down to earth to realize that like not everybody has the same wiring. You know, I'm very much like get my hands in there and do everything. And I need help with certain things and I will ask for help with that. I've gotten better, but I'm like, I don't need you to email somebody for me. I know how to email.
Yeah.
I'm just going to email you and then you're going to email them. And then it's like harder, you know? But for some people, that's not the case. And he helped me realize like some people's wiring is that they need to just have the space to just make what they make. And that's all they have the headspace for. And they make really great art because of that. Not everybody's, you know, running around like a maniac the way I do. And I'm like, okay, you're right. Like there is a space for these things and I need to not be so harsh on it. And I know some really great managers and label people now. And I'm like, okay, yeah, these people they do provide a service and I need to like slow my roll on that criticism a little bit. But I still do I'm like, still own your own stuff though.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And we found, I think every band, especially bands that are around as long as we have been, you find that harsh reality out really in a bad way. So like,
yeah.
And it's funny too, because a lot of people down, like you're talking about we had, luckily for us, like the management that we've had have always been like people that were our friends first, and then they get into management. So like our main guy that managed us for a long time was Ryan Downey, and Ryan Downey worked at MTV and he was actually in the hardcore scene when we first started. He goes back with us as far back as like anybody in this whole thing. So having somebody like that understands where you come from is super important.
Right.
But there are people out there that are just good at that job. And like you said, there are certain people like even like in ZAO, like I know personally, like Jeff is the drummer. Jeff, like we basically run our own label and do everything ourselves now because we just don't care. We would rather be completely involved with every aspect of everything. And even in our band, there are people that are better off to be kind of, you know, brought along or like just the talent, and they don't have to worry about all the other stuff that all the other thing, like all the management type of things happen. So I can see that in inner band relationships, but I'm super happy to just do it ourselves, and we luckily have dudes in the band that are capable. So
yeah, it's a strange thing. Like I think it's because, you know, I'm so used to doing everything. Well, at least when it comes to like my creative stuff, when it comes to this podcast and my own music and all that stuff, I'm just used to having my finger in literally every aspect. If I'm not literally making everything, I have a part in everything. And I think it's probably just being a little bit of a control freak, you know, like I need to let go of some of that sometimes. And I've done an okay job with that in other aspects, like in, you know, with string joy stuff. I'm very much just like, do your thing. It's going to turn out better. And even down to silly things like ordering guitars.
Yeah.
I've got a few custom guitars, and one of the first times I've got another one with B.A. Ferguson that's being built right now that I told him to do the same thing. But when I had my millimetric done back there,
okay,
I told Florian, he's like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "I want a 27-inch scale, this body style, and then surprise me." You know, like I want to see what you think that I want, and I think you know, I felt like he knew me well enough just through the content that I was making and some of the interactions we had, that he could probably figure out something that I would like. And he nailed it. And so when you give people the freedom to just explore on their own, especially creative people, you oftentimes will end up with a better product than what me like directing everybody would be, so it's kind of, there's like a happy medium to all this stuff. You need to be aware of what's going on, but you don't necessarily have to be in control of everything in every aspect of your life.
I totally agree with that. Actually, that's exactly how our band runs, because everybody that does anything with the band, like when we have artists do like our album covers or t-shirt designs or anything in that world, like, or we have somebody do video work for us, like it's literally we're hiring you because we like what you do. So we're not going to tell you what to do. You know what to do. We'll like say like, this is what we like, but I love letting people just do what they're going to do and then sit back and watch that. Cause then you're really letting them be an artist, so.
Yep. Yeah. There's a time and place, I think, for every style of management and creation. And it takes a long time, at least it does for me, to figure that out. Sometimes it's like, okay, guess what? I can't draw.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't do it. It turns out horrible every time. So, but speaking of covers, man, the latest record, man, I can't always say this with every band, but this latest record is like one of my favorites.
That's
and
incredible.
The cover on it is awesome.
Yes.
I love that cover art. But this record is phenomenal. And I love like the guitar tones you guys have on there. And one thing I thought was really interesting, and I definitely wanted to talk to you about this in depth. We might as well like get this right out of the way right now. You literally have a song on there called Ship of Theseus. And that I was like, what a brilliant idea to like kind of address sort of the elephant in the room, which I think for a lot of the people who listen to the show may know this, they may not. But this band's had a lot of lineup changes over the years. And if people are familiar with the story of the Ship of Theseus, basically the idea is a ship went out and then slowly over time, things would break and they'd replace it, and things would break and they'd replace it. And then pretty much none of the original ship was intact by the time it come back to shore, is the nutshell theory. And this band has that going on, but yet it's been amazingly consistent in my mind over the years. Like for as much as you guys have gone through, sonically, it's very consistent. How do you feel about that? And what do you think about, I saw there were some critics of this, especially when that new album dropped. What do you have to say about that? That's kind of an interesting scenario.
Well, yeah, we really like never shy away from any of that stuff. And I think really for us now, looking at a ton of the bands that are our peers, there's not many bands that don't go through pretty major lineup changes if you're going to be a band for 20 years. So we 100%. We definitely feel we understand where that comes from, but we try really hard now to like be pretty solid. And, we've been the same guys in the band since 2004 or 5 now. So it's been a long time,
which is a while.
Yeah,
that's a while.
It's been a while, but definitely in the past, there's been a lot of different member changes and a lot of different like personality clashes and stuff, and people leave and then they come back. But we love the idea, and Dan came up with all the great like lyrical ideas for everything. That's his deal. But the Ship of Theseus idea was really interesting to us because it's like more of a thought experiment, and it doesn't necessarily give you like an answer. But what I love about it and what I take from it is that no matter how much you change whatever needs to be changed, that ship is never not going to be that ship, because even with all the new parts on it, the basic structure of why the ship is the ship never changes. So like, you might have to put a new board on because the board's bad, but just because you put that new board on doesn't mean that now the whole ship's not the same. It just means that board has been replaced, and it's sort of like is this like flowing idea that doesn't stop. It's still the whole like essence of the ship is never going to not be that ship. So in our opinion, with all the different changes that have happened, ZAO's doesn't, I think the main focus of like what we're trying to accomplish as people hasn't really been too different. And most of the people that have been in the band, a lot of it stems from just being friends first. So like,
right,
all the guys that originally started the band, they did it because they were friends with each other and they had certain like religious reasons to get the band moving. Now, obviously, the band doesn't have any religious reasons anymore. Like that stuff's kind of all been taken away. But I've known Dan, Russ, Jeff, and Marty since high school. So first and foremost, we're friends. First and foremost, we care about each other. And that's kind of the propelling force of like what we do is like we care about each other. And I do think that there's always seeing friends be together as long as we have, I think gives people like this cool sense of hope that like things can be cool if everybody works together. I don't know, but I do think that the way we see that whole thought game with the ship of Theseus was like, yeah, the ship's the same. So we'll fix it. And we're going to, and not necessarily fix it. I feel bad to say that, but we're going to like replace pieces of it to do what we need to do. But it doesn't tear the ship as the entity away. It just, it just strengthens the entity.
Yeah. And I think that you are one of the bands that has kept the ship the same.
Yep.
Sometimes people do rebuild the ship to such a degree where it's like, that's a new ship.
Yeah.
That's a different boat than what we arrived on originally. And sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's bad. I guess that's all subjective to the audience, really, at the end of the day. But that's what I meant by you guys have been incredibly consistent. And when you said it's been basically the same since 2004, I'm like, well, yeah, that's about the time I found out about the band. So that makes total sense to me why it's been pretty cohesive, because it has been pretty cohesive.
Yeah. I mean, and to be honest too, like me, Dan, and Russ, I mean, Russ has left here and there. So me and Dan like have been doing this thing since like 1999. So so there's even that goes back that far. Russ has been in it since that time. He's left and come back. But we feel like for most intents and purposes, like the main heart of what was going on, which is always going to be to me, Dan, as long as Dan's involved. I mean, if Dan is we're done if Dan stops, but
right.
But yeah, having that there and having, I think it's kept us kind of consistent with that. So
yeah. You just kind of go. He's sort of captaining the thing in some way.
I like that. He's the captain of the ship.
Yeah, exactly. He's the captain of the ship of Theseus in some ways.
That's awesome. Yes, it is.
That's great. Yeah, well, you guys, I think you guys got something special. I think it resonates with a lot of people, and that's why you've been able to do it this long. And that in and of itself is kind of amazing. I've referenced this a lot, but I think it 100% applies to almost any musical endeavor. But I was at NAMM, I think 2018 or 2019.
Okay.
It was 2018. And I was at a Earthquaker Devices get together.
Okay.
And Josh Scott was there from JHS. And a smaller builder came up to him. I wish I could remember who it was, but I can't. It was a smaller, newer pedal builder came up to him and said, Josh, like, what's the secret? He's like, how do you do what you have been able to do? Like, and this is even before the JHS show became a thing.
Oh, wow.
And Josh was like, honestly, the hardest thing and the thing that you have to do is stick around.
That's it.
You have to stick around. Like, that's the hardest part. And I didn't really fully grasp it at the time, but I was like, that is the hardest part. Whether you're talking about a pedal company or an artist, time in the quote unquote marketplace, whether that's the marketplace of listeners or pedal buyers, matters a lot.
Oh yeah.
Just simply like existing and being an entity that is around in whatever capacity that looks like is so huge. And I think that gets lost on a lot of people, including myself at times. Like, just being around and being consistent is so hard. And
it really is. It kind of has to be a mindset. Like, you have to, and this is why people say, like, if you're going to get into anything creative, and I mean, I put that in to what you're like as an artist, a musician, pedal builder, guitar builder, any of that kind of stuff. like you're saying. If you're not in it because you love it, the main reason people say that is because you have to realize you have to just stick with it. Because if you don't stick with it, that's it. 80% of your battle is staying in it, because you're going to get pissed off. You're going to get frustrated. Somebody's going to come out and be better than you. And it's just there's going to be lean years and there's going to be unbelievable years. And if you love doing it, the lean years aren't going to matter and they're not going to stop you, because what else are you going to do?
Yeah,
you have to have that mind. Like, that's how we are with the band. Like, if people listen to us or if they don't listen to us, I would still be writing songs, and I love hanging out with the dudes in the band. So, like, if we wouldn't financially be able to go out and play and financially put records out, we would probably still hang out and still write songs.
There you go.
So there it is.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I love doing this show too, because I've told people, like, they've asked, "What's your favorite part about doing the podcast?" And I'm like, honestly, it's everything that it's the center point for everything that I get to do. It all springs off of that. And so that's obviously really important. But the other part of it is I get to talk to people. I get to hit up people out of the blue randomly that I have no business talking to at all. And sometimes it happens in the reverse. Like, sometimes there are people who hit up me, and it's like I would have had no reason to talk to Kyle Gass from Tenacious D. No reason at all. But we got to spend an hour plus together just being dorks on this show. That would have never happened. You know, I would have had no reason to talk to you other than just like, "Hey man, I really like your music. Thanks, dude.
Yeah. Or
thanks for coming to the show." You know, like,
and it's so cool to me too, when you get to be, I think that's the hardest thing to explain to people. 'Cause when you get to talk to people that you look up to, or that you have any kind of like inclination to be like a fan of, and you get to talk to them sort of as a peer, it's really overwhelming. So, like, you know, being able to, like, I'm sure for you, like, talking to Kyle, I mean, the guy, like, he's a big deal guy. Like, he's done some pretty awesome stuff, and he's been in this world that, like, not many people get to, like, even come close to. And then if you get to talk to him, you're on that level of like, okay, like, I am a fan, but I don't look like a fan to him. So you get like a real conversation or like a real interaction. 'Cause, like, that's the one thing I really like. I'll meet people that I never thought I'd get to meet, but I get to meet them in a weird way. 'Cause, you know, I'll meet them like where we're playing a show or we're playing a festival with them. So they don't look at me as like somebody that's going to bother them, but at the same time, I'm a fan, man. So, like, it's so cool to, like, get to meet these people that you don't think you would get to talk to. And really, the secret is that it's not that hard.
Don't tell anybody.
I know.
Don't tell anybody.
It's not that hard to just get out there and, like, try. And, like, I mean, it's definitely not easy, but I'm sure you feel the same way. Like, you know, ZAO is where it is, and I'm like, I don't know how we're here. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, dude, even this, like, why does Blake want to talk to me? Like, I mean, you've talked to people that are like legitimately in pretty high places in the music world. So it's like, it's so cool. I'm with you on that. I love that. I love that we get to do and talk to people that you never thought you would.
It is. And then what you realize, and it seems obvious, right? It seems totally obvious, and anybody can logic their way around this, but you realize everyone's just people.
Yep.
And nobody's got magic fairy dust glittering off them, you know, when they walk. I mean, maybe Kyle does a little bit. Sure. He's pretty special. Yeah. But like everyone's just a person. And especially when you do these Zoom things, I mean, it's more obvious in person, because then it's like, yeah, you can. That's a person.
Yeah, wow. There is.
There is. But like the Zoom things are kind of funny, because it's like everyone's doing the same thing. Like, my connection. My microphone. Everyone does the same. I am the only one that doesn't, just because I do this 3 times a week. But even me sometimes, like, my video's not working. What's going on? I don't know. Everyone does the same thing, and it's kind of it's a weirdly humanizing experience.
Yes.
To talk to people you really look up to, and have them also like, my Pro Tools is
I just messed up. Yeah.
I just had an episode with Ken Andrews from Failure yesterday, and he's like, my Pro Tools is not doing the thing.
Ken Andrews is like the Pro Tools guy.
Yeah. He had to switch interfaces or something. And it was just like, this is so related. It's just, I don't know. Maybe it's more relatable being a musician, but it's so funny that everybody to know that it doesn't matter. Like everyone's going through the same thing.
How great is it that you bring that up right now when I don't know if you've watched it yet, but the Get Back Beatles thing?
I'm in the middle of it.
Okay.
I'm on episode 2 right now.
Okay, so you're in far enough to realize that they were a mess. And it makes me feel so much better about everything I've ever done because the Beatles are the best thing ever. And they are a mess, and they are messing around at practice just like we do. When I saw, there's a part, and I don't know if you got there yet. Did Paul bring the Rickenbacker out yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
No.
Pay attention, because he has no idea how to use it. He actually says, I don't even know what these knobs are. So, like, Paul McCartney doesn't know how. And, dude, like, I think you're probably in the part 2. George Harrison's Gibson just falls on the ground and they don't care. It's just like, but it totally humanizes them. You fall in love with who they are as people in this whole thing. But as a musician, oh my God, dude, it totally, I don't even know how to explain. Like, I'm obsessed with it, but I'm obsessed with it because it like makes you feel different about what you do. Cause like, their practice doesn't look any different than like any practice I've been in.
This is exactly what I was trying to explain to my wife. She's not a musician. She's a music lover, but she's not a musician. And I'm like, I don't know if you realize how awesome this is for me.
Yeah.
Like I'm watching the biggest band of all time, regardless of how anybody personally feels about them. They're the biggest band of all. Yeah. And they're doing the same things.
Yep.
The same things that we all do and we can all relate to. Like this is exactly the same.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, they have a massive support system and they have all this unbelievable gear for the time. I think, like George Harrison brings that like
8-track recording.
8-track
yeah.
And he's like, careful, that's $10,000. And I of course had to do the quick math. I'm like, ooh, that's almost $80,000 in today's money. So yes, they have all of that stuff that we don't have, but actually in a weird way, now that I'm processing this thought a little bit, actually we have a lot of it. It's just not physical. A lot of it's digital.
Yeah.
We have so much. Can you imagine what that group would do today?
Oh my God.
With the access to things that we have. Dude, I just discovered something yesterday that's blown my mind that everybody probably already knew about, except for me, because I'm just learning synths and digital stuff a little more intensely. But Iris 2 from Isotope.
Okay.
It's for those that don't know, because this is a guitar show, but it's a synthesizer plugin. It's a software synth where you can load any wave file you want into it and then play it with all kinds of different processing if you want on your keyboard and make new stuff out of it. I just discovered this yesterday and I'm freaking out.
Wow.
I'm loading in like old riffs and things and just making these horribly gross sounding industrial tracks. I'm like, this is the best thing. How did I know? It's been out for years.
Well, dude, but that's like, how great is it though that like our technology has come so far, but there's so much, like there's still so much that I don't even mess with. It's insane from like 10 years ago even. Like, yeah, it's and like you said, watching that, they do every time they messed up, if they just have to redo the whole song with all of them recording. Like all of them. It wasn't like you could just punch things in. So like, imagine if those guys could punch things in, or does that ruin what they are?
That's a good question. To be like really focused on this kind of journey here, mental journey we're taking, a lot of the stuff we have now would not exist without that group and the engineers and people that worked with them.
That's true.
It just wouldn't. We wouldn't have flanger pedals.
No, we wouldn't have anything. Well, dude, I was talking to Jeff, and Jeff does like a bunch of different musical projects. And when they did their record, he set up the Glyn Johns like way, like the mic way. And even now, even though you can close mic every drum and make it sound precisely perfect, that it still sounds insane.
Yes,
And
it does.
To me, like the creativity of just now, and it's almost, it doesn't seem like it's that intense. Like you want, the mic in the bass drum, you want a room mic, you want to put the mic right over the tom. So you and then you have a mic over top of you for the snare, and all of it makes sense. But back then, I don't know if anybody's thinking in that way. And the way it's set up blows my mind that it still sounds as good today. Like you can do it and it sounds insane. It's almost like physics, like things don't change. So
right.
You just, when he does it and he figured this out, it's perfect. And yeah, the whole thing blew my mind, and I love it.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I get like a little bit, like I get excited every time I fire up that show, because I'm like, and I'm not even, I like the Beatles, don't get me wrong, but I'm not even the biggest Beatles fan in the world. And I still am like, I watch that, and sometimes I just want to stop it and just come out here and start messing around.
It's so inspiring.
I'm like, I just want to plug in. I just want to see what comes out. I just want to make stuff. It doesn't help that I'm already like aggressively in that mood. So it's like, I have to literally leave. Usually I'm out here at night making some weird noise, and then she'll text me and be like, "Hey, want to watch Get Back?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I really do. I really do." But that's just going to make me want to come out here more, which I already am. It's a weird catch-22, but I am loving it. And I don't think it's one of those few moments where everybody's praising something and it's not overrated.
Yes. Especially if you have the background.
As musicians.
Yeah, like the backgrounds we have. I mean, I don't know if I've seen anything as mind-blowing as that. And it's weird to say that, but like, yeah, I'm completely obsessed with it and blown away by it, and it makes me feel weird in a great way.
It's mind-blowing because it's not.
Yeah. That's a very good point. It's like seeing people do what you do is weirdly like the most amazing thing ever. I think
well, watching Paul, like maybe he came up with a little bit of this beforehand, maybe not, but like basically the conception of Get Back, the song, happened right in front of you as it actually happened.
Yeah.
I was like, this is blowing my mind.
I know.
A, I love that song, but B, wow. Yep. I just watched it happen.
Yeah.
And we didn't know that this footage was in the vault. Like, how cool.
I know.
How cool of a thing for them to do.
Oh, it's so incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, we've gushed about that enough. There you go, Peter Jackson. I'll send you an invoice.
Nice.
But yeah, getting back on your train a little bit here. So have you largely stayed we kind of talked about some of the newer tech and gear in a very vague sense, but has your rig kind of stayed the same, or have you changed it a lot over the years?
I really do kind of stay the same theoretically. I've got a lot more pedal oriented than I've been in the past. But I'm still straight up JCM 800, going through pedals, going straight into the amp guy. So I don't really have a lot of, I mean, I don't even have any kind of digital anything. Like my delay pedal is like an analog delay pedal. So I don't even I don't even use a digital delay pedal. Not that I'm against any of that stuff. I think some of it sounds great. I think some of it is totally representative, great. Like you can do everything you need to do with it. But for me, there's something about a loud JCM 800 that you can't replicate it. So I've pretty much went and haven't moved too far away from that setup.
Right. What kind of pedals were you using and what are you using now?
So originally what I would do, and I think, even my earlier years, I was like a 5150 block letter guy, because that was what everybody was into.
Totally.
And you didn't have to do anything then. You just plugged into that thing and, just EQ the best you could, and there you go. You don't need any more gain. There's too much gain in that already. But once I got into the JCM 800 world, which was not too far after, I mean, I've been using them for so long. Once I got into that world, my first pedal, I had a TS9 Tube Screamer because I couldn't afford the 808s that were hand wired and made specifically like the old ones. So I had a TS9, which I really liked. There's something about like the cheaper TS9 that doesn't sound bad to me. It gave me a little darker tone, I guess. So I kind of like suited my ears better. And then from that, I hooked up with Maxon, because Maxon was doing a pretty good replication of that 808 circuit with the JRC chips and everything. And I had an 808 overdrive sent to me from that I was using for a pretty good amount of time on my 800. And then recently, I would maybe say the last 5 years, maybe a little less, I met up and became friends with my friend Patrick that does Abominable Pedals.
Oh, yeah.
And Patrick does a Hellmouth that's essentially a TS9 and a TS808 in the same enclosure. There's some other little things that he has kind of in there that he's come up with. And I've been a huge proponent of that pedal. The Hellmouth is like my favorite overdrive I've ever used. It does everything and anything I would ever need it to do. And it makes the 800 just scream. It's perfect for that amp. So I've been using that pretty much all the time. And then I do he has some other fuzz pedals I use, but that Hellmouth has just changed the game for me.
Nice. What's that analog delay you were referring to earlier?
It's a Maxon 8999. So it's the pink guy, right?
So my friend Jack DeVille from Mr. Black Pedals.
Okay.
He's like, that is like the best delay pedal, and I trust him because he is very obsessive when it comes to design. And he's like, this is a flawless analog delay pedal. Like, it's one of the best, and I still have not played one yet. And it's driving me crazy. I need to, because I love analog delays.
Yeah, and honestly, it's hard to explain because I've used the Line 6 ones that everybody, the digital ones, and I've tried a couple different other boutique ones that just couldn't afford them. So whatever, it's cool, they sound good, but or an Eventide, even that kind of stuff with some of their delays, because they have some pretty amazing ones. But that 8999, I mean, it just, the way it decays, nothing does it like it. Nothing. It's just it's perfect, and the decay is once you hear that, you can't change. You can't go back for me anyway. Because
I've got to try one.
Yeah, you'll love it, dude. And being able to manipulate it with the knobs. I mean, obviously, it's kind of hard to dial in an exact delay, how a tap delay would be. But But I don't even. It sounds so good that doesn't even matter to me. I would rather play with it and mess with it, and it's okay if it's a little bit off. Whatever. It sounds. I've never had it to where oh man, I'm I can't get it to do what I want it to do. But yeah, I think if you would play through it, you would absolutely love this pedal. It's so it just sounds so good. It sounds so rich and full. There's no artifacts. It really does do everything like a delay is supposed to.
I've got to get one. I've got to get one. It's received too much praise from too many people that I know and trust. And analog delay is one of my very favorite things. I'm actually looking at I've talked about it on the podcast before, but it's one of my best gear finds ever. It's a DOD, it's a rack unit. That's why I'm pointing in front of me.
Okay.
It's a DOD R880 dual delay. And it is huge and completely impractical. But it has the darkest, most intense repeats on it. And why I say it's one of the best gear scores ever for me, it's because I've never seen another one in real life, and I can barely find anything on them online. And 2, I paid $10 for it off of Craiglist.
Oh my God.
On a whim. I was literally driving to work. I responded to this dude's ad, and he's like, yeah, sure, come by and get it. I'm available during this time. And I'm driving to work, and I'm not a person who is late for work. That just doesn't happen. And he's like, you can swing, if you swing by and pick it up now, you can have it for $10. And it was not on my way, but not on my way. It was like probably about 10 minutes out of my way, and I was running a little bit late. So I swung by, literally just plugged in. Okay, it works. All right, here's $10, and jumped in my car. Still didn't really know what it sounded like. I just knew it worked. But I was like, it's $10. It's fine. I get home. I was only 2 minutes late, so I did all right.
That's awesome.
I get home and plug this thing in, and I'm like, this is the best $10 that I've ever spent on anything ever. It sounds it's completely impractical, but it is a incredible delay, and I've used it on lots of weird noisy tracks, and I'm looking at it like my child right now.
I love it. Well, isn't that it's kind of sad to me, like, because I remember back when deals were to be had all the time. I mean, I paid $600 for my 800, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you couldn't even dream to even come. Like, you're it's another $1,000 on top. If that's the deal, is $1,600 for one of those. Dude, I
remember when they were 6 and 8. I remember that.
So I remember I had that. I remember being in Texas when we were on tour, and it was an 82 Silverburst.
Whew.
It was what, $1,300? I think that's what they had. The price was $1,300 on it. You can't do what? They're like 4, 5, maybe.
Oh, no. Have you seen what happened?
Oh no! I mean, I know the Adam Jones one came out.
So the Adam Jones one came out, and then everybody decided that they're
going to be $10,000.
Yeah.
Oh, give me. Yeah. Oh man.
Like overnight.
I can't even.
As soon as the Adam Jones one released, those silver bursts went from about 4 to like 7 to 10.
Man.
And then and then I have a white one from the same era. Well, it's yellow now, but it was white. Yeah, I love that guitar. I got it at a fair market price from a local shop.
Okay.
For 20, I think it was like $2,100.
Yeah,
probably.
that's okay.
But now, after the Adam Jones thing, and everyone's like, well, my Les Paul from this era is now that's like, yeah, but like 4 to 6. Jeez. I'm just like, this is ridiculous.
Jeez.
Like, I love this guitar. I love it. It was one of my dream guitars. Always wanted, not necessarily specifically that era. I just wanted a white Les Paul custom that I love.
Yeah.
And I had a hard time finding one. People on the show have heard this story a million times, but I found that one, just fell in love with just the guitar, not anything about the year or the specs or anything. It was just like, I love this guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I need it. But I don't love it enough that I'd be paying $5,000 for it. I can't justify that in my brain.
Well, dude, I have an 85 custom, and it's one of the ones that still has like the low profile frets, which are terrible, and I need to refret that thing because I can't even.
I like them.
I can't deal with them. Like it. Oh God, it just doesn't. And I have so much trouble, like especially tuning down for our stupid tunings. Like if it was like in 9 to 42, like standard E, I bet that thing would be the best thing ever. But I have it with 56s and like that crap. But I got that. It was like $2,200. And I was like, wow, this is a great deal. You know, I forget how I traded some stuff in. I got it for cheaper, but I haven't even looked to see what that thing would go for now. But yeah, $2,200 is about the maximum for me. I don't think I could spend more than that on a guitar.
I talked about this probably a year and a half, 2 years ago with Joe Branton from the Guitar Nerds on this. Like, what would you spend? What is the absolute max that you could see yourself spending on a guitar? And I don't just have this laying around. I'd have to figure it out. But I could see myself spending up to $4,000 for like the ultimate thing for me. I don't know what even that would look like. I have no idea. I could see myself spending up to $4,000. I'd have to figure it out. I'd have to like, okay, I got to wheel and deal and sell some stuff. And yeah. But beyond that, it's just, and I'm not criticizing anybody that does do this.
If you can, yeah,
do it.
Yeah,
do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I love people doing what they want. That's great. But I've played so many awesome guitars that were $600 to $2,000 that were just phenomenal, inspiring instruments that I feel like you really get super diminishing returns. And now this may change based on the prices of what everything's going through right now. But I feel like once you get past $3,000, you're really getting into some diminishing returns at that point. At least as a player, not necessarily as a collector. Yeah.
I feel the same way. Cause I have some of the ESP standard series Japan, like the Japanese made guitars. I can't even talk.
Yeah.
But so I've played one of the custom USA shop ones that they've put out, and it's just out of control. But I would put my standard series Japanese made ones up just as comfortable to play, and they sound pretty close, and it would be hard. And I think the cheapest custom shop ESP is like $4.
Wow.
Maybe $35.
And again, I don't think either of us are saying that it's not worth that.
No, they're worth it.
It's hard for me to envision myself going there. I don't know. I was playing my my very first electric guitar. I still have it.
Me too.
Granted, I got off on a really good foot. It's like a 2003 Gibson Les Paul Special.
Oh, that's awesome.
With the humbuckers. It's the faded cherry. I still have I think I posted on Instagram, but I have a picture of when I opened the case at my graduation party. Wow. And that the look on my face. I've told people before, I'm like, that is just pure joy. Because I didn't know, I had no idea I was getting that. I knew I was probably getting a guitar, but I didn't know if it was going to be a Squire or I just knew that I asked for an electric guitar. And so I opened that and I was just like, oh,
yep.
And I'm not kidding. To this day, that is still one of the best playing and best sounding guitars that I own. And I am fortunate to have a lot. You said every time I pick that thing.
It's a 2003, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a 2001 classic that I would put up against any Gibson that they put out in the last. I mean, some of them are terrible, but like that 2001 classic, holy it plays so nice. I love it.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And part of it is like, this was my main guitar forever. And so it feels like home, even though it's not even how I would spec something out now. If you ask me what I want now, I'm like, oh, I like bigger necks. I like this and that. And this has got a fairly slim 60s neck. But every time I pick it up, I play it. I'm like, this is a really good guitar. Yeah. And I think it was I think my parents got it for, I saw the receipt because I had to go take something else on their back.
Okay.
Otherwise I probably would never have known this, but they paid like $420 for it.
Oh, that's incredible. Wow.
It's one of the best guitars. It's so good.
Oh man. And I remember, dude, I can remember when you could get a good deal on any of those like studios or any of that kind of stuff. Like I remember, because I was like, I don't want a studio. It's like $800. That's not that, like, dude, they were so cheap compared to what it is now.
Oh, they're rippers too.
And they play incredible.
Yep. Which is actually the whole point behind all of those guitars. Was like, let's take the binding off. Let's do strip it down, make a good guitar for somebody who just wants a good guitar, which, mission accomplished, Gibson. You did it back then.
They did. I don't know.
Do it again.
Yeah, do it again, please.
Yeah. Now, all that said, we're kind of bemoaning the state of prices a little bit, but I've said this a lot too. What's awesome is the entry level stuff now. Like the Squires that are being made right now.
I know.
Are ridiculous. Dude, that J Mascis Jazzmaster is so good. It's so good.
I totally agree. I don't even know how to explain. I remember when Squire was like a 4-letter word to people, and or Epiphone even. Like Epiphones were like, ugh, like Epiphone. I can play. It feels like a toy. Like I can't play this. All that, all that stuff. And I would argue that ESP's lower level LTD was the one company I remember getting those LTDs when they first started making them. And I was like, holy, these things are like a real guitar. Wow. And they were still reasonably priced, but it seems like everybody across the board now, their lower levels are really, really nice.
I think that's very true and this isn't, I'm not trying to bash anybody, but for the established brands and for the brands that are taking it real seriously, I think that's true. I think the flavor of the day Amazon brands.
Oh, yeah. The weird ones that are like really cheap. Is that what you're talking about?
They're like really cheap.
Yeah.
Now, I have played a handful of those that are like, this is worth what they're charging. You know, like this is not bad. But I played some of them and they're like, this is giving me flashbacks to when Squire was a 4-letter word. Like, you know, it's like, it's sharp. So, and the community around some of those is very strange because they'll be like, this insert, you know, I'm not going to bash anybody, but insert really cheap Amazon brand here is just as good as any Gibson. And I'm like,
well, dude, no, it isn't. Have you seen the people that like claim Gibsons are like as good as some of the Gibsons?
Yes. And I think that's true for like the lawsuit era Grecos and things like that.
Yeah.
That's true.
Sure.
But not the Chinese. No.
And they're literally, what is it? It's like, it's pretty much like the worst, the kind of bad Epiphones that weren't that great. And then they're just like, put a new headstock on them or something. It's like super weird.
You know, speaking of that, I wish I could remember the name of the company. I actually want to get them on the show. But there's a company in Nashville doing something pretty cool. What are they called? Like FMC? I can't remember their name. I'm sorry.
I think I know who you're talking about. I can't think who they are.
Well, I'm sorry, company in Nashville. I can't remember.
I do,
but I will remember. They take the basically the ones that don't meet spec from Gibson, and I don't remember what all brands they work with. Basically, they take the ones that don't meet spec and aren't worth the time for the main brands to fix up because they're a production facility. They're not a restoration facility. It's just not what they're equipped to do. This company will take those and fix whatever they need to fix on them, and go give them a good going over and a setup, and then sell them to retailers that can't afford the massive buy-ins for because Gibson and Fender require really, really big buy-ins for their stores. So that's why there's only a handful of stores. In fact, I think the only Gibson dealer in Oregon is Guitar Center. Maybe 5-Star Guitar also.
Wow.
Maybe.
We have one in Pittsburgh that has been pretty solid with that stuff. And then Guitar Center was the ones. Yeah. I don't even know is there a guitar? Yeah, I think it's still I think it's there, but
yeah. But what I'm saying is, so they would take these basically cast-offs, rebuild them into really good playing guitars, and then sell them to retailers who can't be Gibson dealers. Now they can't say like, I'm a Gibson dealer, look at my Gibson. They just they get to have Gibsons and Fenders and whatever other brands they work with in stock, and they're really good because they've been like really gone over well. I'm like, what a cool business model. Wow. Like taking things that would go in the garbage and making them into cool instruments that people can afford. I love that so much. It's so cool.
Yeah, I never understood why they would just, I mean, and you kind of answered it for me because they're not a restoration company, but it's like, how can you, when there's like blemishes that are honestly fixable and they just won't allow that, to be something that they work on. They just have to get rid of it. It's such a bummer. Yeah.
It's really weird. It's hard for a lot of people to understand, but they're a production facility. Yeah. They're not set up to be able to do that stuff. I mean, even with strings, and this is a very, very different thing, but even with strings, we get a lot of scrap, and some of those strings probably would meet spec at other places. Or, we've actually had another manufacturer come in and tell us we were crazy one time.
Well, no, that's why they said they're good string. That's why they're the best ones that I've played.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. So we have a lot of scrap, and it's not worth it to us to, unwind them and, grab that core wire, which would be usable. And then rewind. It makes no sense. That's so much time. It's just financially you'd lose so much to do that. And Gibson's buffing out of scratch and like fixing things like that is not the same thing. But for us, it's just easier to send it on to Strings for Hope, who makes jewelry out of it. And, it lives its life that way. And and it makes more financial sense to do so. But Gibson and Fender are kind of in a similar boat with that stuff. It's like, I can't send this chip to be sanded down and refinished. That's going to take somebody, 4 hours to do. They could paint 6 bodies in that time and get them out the door.
I completely understand.
Hey, everybody, this is a little peek behind the curtain. We had to take a brief break there for Scott to go, be a dad and like responsible and stuff, which is just ridiculous. But we got through it. But it's actually at I don't remember exactly where we left off, but I do know that I need to get into some of the Facebook group questions. There's 2 in particular I want to touch on.
Okay.
One, I feel like, I feel like there's a possibility you may not want to answer it because I literally have no idea what this is referring to. And it could be like some horrible inside joke that I don't know about. Or it might be awesome. I have no idea, but you can tell me to pound sand if you don't want to answer it. Okay. Andrew Spann says, please ask him what was in the envelope that went missing before this year's Furnace Fest pre-show at Seasick Records. I'm dying to know.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it wasn't actually an envelope. Okay. What went missing was Dan's lyrical book. So Yeah. So what he does is when we go on tour, he has a booklet with every lyric of every song, and he doesn't really need to look at them, but what he does do is he studies them right before we play, so then he has it, and it's almost like kind of like a comfort thing too, to just have it there. But the thing that's insane is they are legitimately the lyrics from some of them are the original ones he wrote, and like he has his edits on them, so they're like super special to him. There's some stuff in there that's like for things we haven't even done yet, so like he has like new lyrics in there too, and it went missing and he lost his mind. And I totally understanding that he would, and we said something about it, and magically it appeared in a place that it definitely was not. Yeah. So I'm guessing it was probably taken, and then somebody realized, well, this isn't going to be cool, and I really don't know why I even did this. So luckily we got it back and everything's all good. So whoever took it, we'll never know who you were. It sucked. I don't know why you did it, but we got them. So who cares? Right.
Yeah, that does. It sucks that somebody gave in to that urge. It's a thing that whether we want to admit it or not, we all kind of battle with it. Some degree of like wanting to do something we're not supposed to do. It's a human nature thing. I'm bummed they gave into it, but I'm actually really stoked that they were like, that was bad of me.
Yes.
Let me rectify this situation. You know what? That means you're probably a good person.
And really. Honestly, too, yeah, like that's when it's all said and done, we got them back, and literally water under the bridge, over, all good.
Yep. All of a sudden, it's like doesn't matter anymore. So that's cool. I'm glad it ended. It ended well. So well, hey, it's actually an interesting story. I'm sure a lot of people don't know that. So there you go.
Yeah, that was a time, but it's all right. We're good.
Cool. And then the next question is, and you may have kind of addressed it in your general gear speaking, but Blake Lawson, Blakes are the best. Nice. Blake Lawson says, how did they get the tone from My Love, We've Come Back from the Dead?
So a lot of that tone really does exist because of where we recorded that record. So that record was done with Steve Albini in Chicago.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
I still had my 5150, and I had a JCM 800, and we had them running together, and the 800 didn't even have an overdrive on it. I actually used it because you know how they're not super dirty, but I mean they get pretty nice if you push them pretty loud, which is what like where electrical audio is and how they have set up. That's kind of the whole thing. Yeah. So we honestly, it's the mastermind of Steve Albini, how good he is at what he does, and that that space. A lot of that had to do with that tone.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
That I have to pinch myself. Steve Albini, I still think, has no idea who I am, which is fine, nor should he. But I do have to pinch myself once in a while because I remember reading about Big Black in my freshman year of high school, reading about them in a book.
Okay.
I'm like, wow, this is so cool. Like,
Mhm.
and then finding out more about Steve as it went on. And then like, I'm in a documentary with Steve Albini, like in the
That's
pedal
incredible.
movie. I'm like, I don't think he knows who I am, but it's still kind of like, that is not something I ever saw coming in my life. So I do look at that with a certain degree of fondness because that guy is brilliant. He really is.
Honestly, too, I think us as a band, like that's a pinnacle of our career. Like being able to record with that guy was just never thought it would happen. Never thought that's something that would even be in our, wheelhouse whatsoever. And he ended up knowing who we were, and he like contacted us sort of in a way because he had relation, like I think his girlfriend, maybe wife now, like did a documentary that we were in, and he saw that and was like, I really like that band, and found out we were playing in Chicago and asked if we wanted to come and tour the studio. And me and Dan were like, that's not Steve what? Wait a second. That's not Steve Albini. Steve Albini.
That's some guy that runs like an Italian restaurant. This is a different guy, right?
This isn't really happening. But yeah, we went over to the studio. We're just completely blown away. And then the minute we could record with them, we made sure to have it happen. And the rest is history.
That's rad. Were there any particular tidbits you remember from that session that was like, oh, I'm going to remember that mic placement or that little trick or anything like that you can remember from that time?
I mean, he definitely did a lot of this, like for guitars was pretty standard, like, on the cone edge, like most people do. He did have these really, like, they looked like a piece of junk rainbow or whatever they're called. I think it was a rainbow mic is what it was called or something like that. And I was like, there's no way, because I mean, usually like we have a 57 or you have the what is it, the little flat Sennheisers, the like 421s or whatever.
Yep.
And he had these little ribbon mic. I'm an idiot. He had a ribbon mic. What am I thinking? So he had this it was weird, this ribbon mic, and it sounded huge. It was incredible. Like
it's like a Royer, like R121 or something like that.
I don't even know. I can't remember. But I remember Jeff's like, he's using a ribbon mic on a guitar. Okay. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's like some of the secret sauce. I don't have a ribbon mic, but I will get one day. But yeah, I use the Aston mic Stealth on like everything. In fact, that's what that is.
Oh, nice.
I use it on my voice. I use it in the room. I use it on acoustic. I use it on piano. I have not found an application where I don't love that microphone yet. And they have a dark mode it's just a filter on it. They have a dark mode that's like a ribbon sort of emulation.
Okay.
And I'll use like a regular one in guitar mode and one in dark mode on the same cab, or like a 57 in dark mode on the same cab to try to get some of that same vibe. But yeah, my friend Leon, he showed me the magic of ribbon mics a long time ago on guitar cabs, and I'm guessing he probably learned that trick from somebody like Steve. He was obsessed with recording at the time, so I wouldn't be surprised. It was incredible.
And I mean, like it's weird too because we haven't really went back to it, and I don't know why, because it really did well. But now, like, we're micing it with some of the Heil TH30 mics. We do that now because of Adam Jones.
Right.
So there's a bunch of like that kind of stuff we've been doing, but we haven't gone back to the ribbon mic. It's strange.
Oh, I haven't used in a long time, but I remember liking that was relatively affordable was because like the R121 is like, it's not the most expensive mic in the world, but it's not cheap. I think it's like $1,200 or something. Like it's fairly pricey microphone. It's a good microphone. It's legendary, but it's not like you're just going to be, pulling that out of your pocket, type of thing.
Oh yeah.
But the Cascade mic's Fathead is a ribbon mic designed. I don't think it's like the same thing, but it is a ribbon mic that a lot of people have used in a similar fashion, and it's a lot more affordable. And it's I remember really liking it, so maybe I'll pick one up one of these days. Yeah,
I know that's like we actually have been trying to build our own little like mic collection.
Yeah,
you know, Jeff's been really doing great with getting all the drum mics that he's been wanting, and we got to kind of get into that world, because I think especially with the room that we have for rehearsals, I think we could get some really cool sounds out of there if we had some different stuff.
Well, I don't know if you've checked it out, but the new Thrice record is it one that they recorded themselves again.
Oh yeah.
And I saw the space that they were working in when they were like first kind of building it out. Ed sent me some sneak peeks, and I was like, wow, that looks like a really like good space, but just like a very normal space. And I was like, that's cool. And then I heard the record, and I was like, this is out of control. This sounds so good.
Dude, those guys are just so awesome. I'm decently close with Riley.
Oh, nice.
And he I remember when they were doing, what was the one? I don't know. I think I've heard some of the singles off this new record, but I haven't heard the full record. But To Be Everywhere Is to Be Nowhere. Yeah, that record, he sent me a couple versions of like different colored vinyl of it, and I fell in love with that record. I mean, I've been a fan of those guys since Theseus, so that band, oh my gosh, they really can't do too much not right.
I know. I have a giant flag, Thrice flag. You can't
that's
see
awesome.
It's from when they went on hiatus. It was their farewell tour, and I have a giant flag that hangs above the shred shed.
Oh, I love it.
I'm a diehard huge fan of them, and I talked to Ed and Tepe on the show, and that was like crowning achievement.
Yeah, well, those
hang it up.
Yeah, that Tepe's knowledge of like everything. Oh God, they're just some people that just have it.
I know, but you talk to him and he acts like he doesn't know what he's doing.
I know it's not. Well, I remember when they first like Theseus was I forget what producer was with them, and then they like ventured into doing their own recordings. And I remember reading interviews where he's like, we were hoping. I'm like, what do you mean you were hoping? Like, dude, it sounds insane.
Yeah, that was now, Alchemy Index. They recorded all themselves too.
Yeah, and dude, listen to that.
That was the next record. It's so good. It's so good. And he was like, I talked to him about it on the podcast. He was like building his own mic pre's. Like, I mean, they were kits, but he was building his mic pre's for that. They like really went into it. And you just talk to him, and he's like the humblest guy. Like, hopefully it works. So like, it's gonna work. You'll be fine. Yeah.
Well, dude, as you're probably noticing too, like to me, the guys that like actually have it are dudes like that are like totally like don't even think they have anything. Like it's so weird to me how many bands we've met where like when there's any kind of weird attitude, it's usually because they're not really that anything. And then the guys that are like the real deal, they don't even care. They're just happy to be there too.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. I'm just happy to be at the party, man.
Yeah,
this is great.
It's awesome.
Well, hey, dude, we've gone slightly over on the main episode, and we still have to get into the final questions that I ask on this show, which I'm very excited about. Okay. So before I do that, this is your chance to plug anything you want to plug. Whoops, I need to knock over my cymbals over here real quick. Plug anything you want to plug. Shout out your grandma, like anything you want to do. Say whatever for a couple thousand people right now. Here's your opportunity to do so.
Well, if anybody's willing to check out our band, you can just go on. Like we have all of our socials. We run everything. So the official ZAO one on Instagram, and we have official Facebook, and our Bandcamp is like the best place to buy anything, because that comes literally directly from us. Like Jeff boxes it up, sends it to you. Like that's how we do everything. Also too, like I really want to push like Abominable Electronics and another pedal company, 12th Hour, my friend Jonathan. Those two guys have been instrumental in helping me get kind of moving in sort of that pedal world. And I really like that has opened up such a horizon for me now as a guitar guy. Cause like I really didn't do too many pedals and I wasn't really able to get the sounds that I had in my head. So I really want to push those two guys, those two companies have been unbelievable, and buy their products because they're incredible.
All right, there you go. Awesome. You just introduced me to a pedal company I wasn't aware of, so that's nice. Yeah. That doesn't happen all that often.
No, he's like just started, and he's kind of like building from like he'll find like schematics for like weird stuff, and like I mean he built me this unbelievable reverb pedal. You can't get this reverb pedal for like anything less than $400 or $500, and he was able to like get it all schematiced out and build it, and oh man, it does everything I need. Like it's insane. So yeah, 12 hours is pretty awesome.
Awesome. Love that. I'm gonna check them out after the podcast.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, final questions. Here we go. Okay. First one. What is your favorite Boss pedal?
Oh, I used an MH2 or HM2 back in the day when I scooped all the mids. I honestly did all that stuff because I was so stupid. But
no, it's fine. I
did. I know I did that stuff. But I would honestly say that the PS5 Harmonist pedal, it was like it was the Super Shifter then. Mm-hmm. That pedal is so sick. And I've used the Harmonist, but none of them. That Super Shifter still sounds so insane to me. I love that pedal.
Awesome.
But yeah, that, and I still have an SD1 that I had the JRC chip put in. And it did for like a run of the mill, like decent overdrive. Still sounds pretty awesome to me.
Mm-hmm. I love Boss.
But the Super Shifter, it's insane. I love that thing.
The Super Shifter. Right on. Okay, last question. And as you know, this one gets a little bit dicey, a little bit controversial. Family split up. It's a whole thing. What is your favorite kind of pizza?
Oh God. Okay, well, I will say this, and I think I heard somebody say this on your podcast, and I don't remember who it was. But if you can't do a good cheese pizza, you're not a good pizza place. I do agree.
That was Misha Mansour.
Yes,
actually.
He's totally right, because there's a pizza place in our town, and living in where we do, like food is pretty much the thing here. Like there's tons of like families from like the 30s that have these restaurants that are still kicking today. And there's a couple different pizza places around here. And it's Gianelli's. That's like this really awesome Italian restaurant, but they do their cheese pizza crushes my brain. But there's also, there's so many cool, like around here now too. We have a friend named Josh Sickles that has his own pizzeria that he like studied under some of the guys, like some of the New York pizza makers, like, and his cheese pizza, I can't even explain to you. It's like on another planet. Just how amazing it is. That pizza's good, but I'm also a huge fan of white pizza.
Yeah. It has. I have to be in the mood for it, but a good white pizza, it's sometimes it's what you need. I actually had a clam pie from Pizza Jerk here in town. Yeah. I'm a big seafood guy. I love seafood. So
me too. I'm crazy about seafood.
Yeah. So, but and this clam pie is interesting to me. You can't. If I'm craving that, I'm not really craving a regular slice of pizza, right?
Yeah.
I kind of want something else, and it's almost more like eating a more robust clam chowder than it is a pizza. It's still a pizza, and it's like it's not soup. It's pizza, but the experience you get is more like eating clam chowder than it is like eating pizza. It's really strange, but good.
Wow. What? Mm-hmm. So have you ever had pierogi pizza?
No, but I like pierogies.
Okay, so there's a couple places around here because our whole area is like pierogi central. Like people make their homemade pierogies. It's crazy. Pierogi pizza kind of sounds similar because it's almost like you have this weird like mashed potato cheese thing on your pizza, and it doesn't feel like you're eating pizza. Like it's like it's a totally different experience. That sounds kind of like that, where it's like it's pizza, but it's way more a different thing.
Yeah.
That sounds, dude, now I need to see if I can find somewhere around here that does that kind of pizza.
Yeah. I don't know where is definitely an East Coast thing, and Pizza Jerk is a more East Coast, like New York style pizza place. But and the regular slices are phenomenal too. I love Pizza Jerk. Portland, people don't like to. This is very controversial. Portland has some amazing pizza places, and sure, it's not a place where you can like New York City, where you can wander a block and a half in either direction, and there's going to be a fantastic pizza place where you can get a slice for $2 that'll blow your mind. It's not that.
Yeah, it's
just not. But there are some very, very, very legit spots here that are so good. You know, we got Sizzle Pie, we got Pizza Jerk, Demos, like all these places. They're great. But yes, Pizza Jerk, they make really good like regular pizza too. So what I like to do is get the half clam, half like pepperoni or whatever.
Wow.
And what's so cool is there's always these slices on the edge where the red pizza bleeds over a little bit into the clam pizza.
That sounds insane. I'm already.
It's so good. I was like, oh, the in-between slice. How do I get the in-between slice as a whole pizza? It's not possible, but
my God, I have to find this pizza. Yeah. I mean, dude, pizza's like such a huge thing here. Like, it's crazy how many pizza places there are around. And I don't know, dude, none of them go out of, like, if you open a good pizza joint around here, it doesn't go out of business. You'll have people all the time.
That makes sense. Yeah. I think I know what I'm having for dinner tonight. Woo!
Man, that sounds good.
It is Friday.
Yeah. Because like, I love Mexican food, so like I always have my Taco Tuesday, but Pizza Fridays should be a thing.
I think they kind of are. It is kind of a thing.
Okay.
I don't know if it's an official thing,
but it will.
I know it should be. I know Grant from Big Ear Pedals and myself pretty much every Friday we'll be eating pizza, and we'll send pictures of our pizza and tag each other, and it's a thing. But
I love it. Oh man,
I haven't had lunch yet. I'm gonna devour something when this podcast is over.
Well, dude, I actually I had some shrimp for lunch, so
there you go.
Now I kind of want to try the pizza, the clam pizza. That's
you got.
Oh man,
surely there's one in your area. Surely there is. Has to be.
If not, I'm gonna hit up my buddy and be like, dude, you got to make this pizza now.
Yep. Yes, it's a treat. Well, dude, thank you so much for this. This was a blast. I love it.
No, Blake, thank you. I almost feel like I'm not worthy. I'm so happy you asked me.
No, you are totally. This was an awesome conversation, and I'm looking forward to what kind of craziness we can get into on the Patreon exclusive here. So let's jump into that.
Awesome. Yes, I'm so in.
All right, everybody. For Scott, this is Blake, and as always, folks, good luck and good tones. All right, I hope you enjoyed that one. I truly had a blast, and this is one of the best Patreon conversations I've had in a minute. So if you'd like to support the show, if you would like to give me a little Christmas present and give your ears a little Christmas present by getting even more content, you can go to patreon.com/tonemob, or you can hit the subscribe button in Apple Podcasts to get that bonus content delivered to your ears every week. And if you could do that, that would mean the world to me. If you can't, I totally understand. And I would just ask that you share this with somebody. Share this with a friend. Share this with somebody that you think might enjoy it. Maybe they don't even play guitar. I don't know. Just share it with anybody, because that is how this thing stays around. Really, truly. It is a massive thing to get a new person listening to this show. It is one of the hardest things to do, but it's also one of the best things to do. So if you can get a friend to listen to this, you are helping me a tremendous amount. So I hope you enjoyed that. Go check out ZAO. Have a Merry Christmas. Have a Merry Christmas. What am I saying? Have a good time. Enjoy the holidays. Enjoy the new year. And I love y'all. Seriously. Thank you so much for allowing me to do this. It's truly a privilege, and I don't take that lightly at all. I really do thank you very much. So I'll let you move on with your day. Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye. One last thing before we totally sign off here. I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.